Hello, hello. It's Adrian, and we're about to get into this book again, Deliver Me from Evil. I swear, Mary Monroe definitely started this book off definitely on a mystery style, like because I'm thinking it's like in the beginning of an abduction, but this is something like a setup, and but we all know this can go either really left or really right. But so far, we about to get into chapter 4, and we about to get into this, y'all, because it's something things is like we're not even nowhere near halfway of this book here, and I already feel it's about to be some changes, let alone things about to hit the fan. But let's get into chapter 4, and then we're gonna work on to our way for the next few chapters, and we're gonna take a little break on this one. Okay. Unlike the neat living room in Wade Ace Fisher Mama's house, where Wade had just called my husband from, his bedroom was a mess. From one room condition and smell, nobody would have believed that Wade was a mature man of 33 and not some musty teenager who expected his mama to clean up behind his lazy ass. All four walls and the low ceiling in the room were covered with posters and half naked video vixens and various entertainers. Some I some I never even heard of, like Eddie Fisher, the singer that Wade Mama had named him after. Madonna stared from the Dog Ear album cover that had been tacked to the back of the only chair in the room. Empty beer bottles and Pepsi cans were everywhere I looked, even on the window sills. One window had a dingy pillowcase tacked across it. The other windows had curtains so thin you could see through them. Clothes, jock straps, and smelly socks were strewn all over the floor. Empty fast food containers littered the top of his scattered wobbly dresser. The bed, which was just a mattress in the middle of the floor, was unmade. So it's just one of them sloppy teenagers cleaning, like plates and saucers with half-eaten sandwiches sat on top of the windowsill. Pork chop bones, cookie crumbs, and fuzzy white ball that had once been an orange and an apple core with a swarm of gnats rolled to the floor as soon as he flopped down onto the mattress. The only thing in that room that was remotely organized was the bookcase in the corner. All four shelves contained a shabby paperback copies of urban fiction books with covers just as lurid as the posters of the video vixens on the walls. What time did you say your mama was coming back? I asked, looking at my watch as I giggle out of my panties and kick off my shoes. Everything else except the blouse and bra were already on the floor. Wade had already slid off his jeans, wife beaters, t-shirt. He looked downright oh looked downright standing in front of me, wearing nothing but a smile and his battered running shoes with mixed match shoelaces. I looked away. I didn't want to laugh because I felt sorry for him. Life has not been kind to this man. He hadn't worked in 3 months and he had lost his last job as a busboy in a Greek restaurant. To his boss, teenager's nephew, he was a failure everywhere except in the bedroom. But despite his good looks and long thick stuff, I'm gonna say stuff or would. I'm gonna try to like limit certain words on here because this is my first time reading this book, obviously, and I know YouTube has guidelines and stuff, and I want all of these chapters to be heard and things like that. So I'm gonna limit it, but if you know, you know, which is why my content is not made for kids. But anyway, despite his good looks and a long, thick stuff that looked like a sword, looked like a sword, when he got a hard on, none of his dreams and hard work had paid off. Some of the women he counted on over the years had eventually had moved on. I didn't like when Wade told me that he'll be with me even if I didn't have a rich husband. whose money has financed some of the best times that Wade and I had shared. I knew that that there was a barefaced lie. Things have would have been a lot different if I been broke as Wade. He probably would have not been with me in the first place. It bothered me and it made me sad when I thought about Wade's economic status, but I had to think about it, whether I wanted to or not. I was one of the few friends he had left that he could count on, and he was one of the few friends that I could count on. Therefore, we needed each other for different reasons, of course. No matter how people interrupted life, when you look at it closely enough, two of the most things in life were good sex and big money. With a grunt, Wade kicked off his shoes, stumbling so hard he fell to the floor, but he was an elegant as a panther. So he was back on his feet in no time. His eyes on my moist and hairless crotch. He shaved me himself on a regular basis, telling me that it was his only way for a man to get pure cat. Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna use the female who ha is cat and use the others. Yeah, we're gonna try to try to balance that in. But I had some concerns about how I was going to explain to my husband the first time Wave shaved me. But the next time JC Ray slowed down from his busy schedule to make love to me after my first shaving, he didn't notice anything different. All he said was the same thing he always said after we made love. Baby, that was good. Wade inhaled and gave me a gargle look. You ain't got to worry about my mama. You need to stay focused on this uh thing we started, he replied, stretching his naked body on the mattress, lying on his back. Come on over here, he ordered with a grin. And get that worried look off your face. I got everything under control. We don't know that for sure, Wade. I insisted, flopping down next to him on the mattress. What if JR called the cops? What if he doesn't pay the ransom? I won't be able to go back home. I will. And it was hard for me to talk because Wade was covering my face and mouth with hot, hungry little kisses. His tongue slid across my lips like a paintbrush at the same time, and he was pulling off the rest of my clothes. He didn't speak again until I was naked, as he was. You ain't going back to him, one way or the other. Anyway, when we get our hands on that money, you can take yours and split. Get you a place in Hawaii, like you've been dreaming about. Me, I go back to LA and resume my career. And if we don't get the money, I'll go back to LA anyway, and you come with me. We talked about this umpteen times. That way, it's way too late for you to be getting cold feet. Wade was squeezing my breast so hard it hurt. He frowned when I pushed his hands away. What's your problem, woman? We've done this a million times. Wade, what if JR called the cops and has traced the call you just made? Shit, this thing is falling apart before it even started, I exclaimed, sitting up. Woman, it ain't that easy to trace a call. And even if they did, I could say that I called his number to check on some videos and wanted to rent. You told me yourself that the phone in the store rings off the hook all day long. Remember how long the line was busy before we finally got through? I nodded, laid back down, one hand reaching for Wade's part. He parted his thighs with a smile and a wink, looking sexier than ever. From what you done told me about the brother, he ain't a stupid man, Wade added. Even though he looks like one, he wore them boxy horn rim glasses, and when we were in school and he looked like the Greek from hell. All the other kids used to call him Clark Kent behind his back. Clark Kent, I laughed to myself. Clark Kent was a clumsy, timid geek that was also Superman in disguise. I have been lucky to end up with a black Clark Kent. Wade was a sexy breast by every standard, and women, especially lovesick women like me, let him know that. However, some would have argued that my husband had Wade beat by a country mile. Any woman with a practical mind would never have chosen Wade over Jesse Ray. Wade represented a good time, and that was all. Jesse Ray had much more to offer, especially security. And to a lot of women, they would have been enough. And it would have been for me for a while. Wade went on. Didn't you hear how scared he sounded? I'll be willing to bet my share of the money that he ain't gonna call no cops. Shit, you didn't marry no fool after all. Well, from now on, we call him from a payphone. Wade nodded and smiled as he climbed on top of me. You are the one paying the cost to be the boss, so whatever you say is fine with me. As long as I get paid, I ain't complaining. Wade's body was magnificent. Even though he drank everything but shoe polish and lived on junk food, he was all muscle. Just the thought of making love with him was enough to get me off. And thinking about Wade was the only way I could get off when my husband made love to me lately. It, it has not always been that way. Sex with my husband was good during the first few years of our relationship. But that was because Jesse Ray had done his best to impress me. Once he got comfortable, he made love to me on the run, often glancing at the clock on the beside the stand, on the bedside stand, and slurping on my friends at the same time. He flip and flop around on top of me, sweating and squealing like a banshee. His long, thin body prop up on his bony arms like a brown grasshopper. Compared to Wade, my husband seemed like a mute in bed. Wade was the noisiest lover I ever been with. The way he carried on when he was having sex, you would have thought that somebody was killing him or at least beating the dog shit out of him. Even though we were the only ones in the big shabby house in South Berkeley and that his mama rented, I covered his big mouth with my hand to keep his mama neighbors from hearing things they didn't need to hear. It was bad enough that every time Wade brought me to his house, the neighbors on both sides peep out their windows. He was rough too. He flop up and down on me like he was riding a bull. The reason the mattress was on the floor now is because we finally broken the slats on the cheap bed frame that he'd been sleeping on since he was in junior high. I removed my hand as soon as he came and rolled off of me. Panic, wheezing, and moaning like some creature caught in a trap. He was breathing so hard that the hot air steaming out of his mouth irritated my eyes. The sweat that had dripped from his body and saturated the thin sheets, which almost slid off the mattress. Oh baby, that was the best yet. Seems like the older you get, the better you get. Ain't a young girl in this state that can snap, crackle, and pop her cat the way you can. Shit, you even you couldn't do it. All of this when you were a young girl yourself. He told me slapping my backside. This was one of the few things I didn't like about having sex with Wade. He slapped me on my rump the way I've seen jockeys at the slap their horses' asses. Wade sat up and looked down at me, wiping his face with a trail of sheet. I was still on my back looking up at the cracked ceiling. I had so many thoughts swimming around in my head. I couldn't tell where one was ending and another began. One was I didn't like when Wade and any other men for that matter reminded me that I was no longer a young girl. I had a house full of mirrors, so I knew that. I was vain, so I looked to other people concern me. Despite Wade's choices of words, I still enjoy his company. He did one thing that my husband now did every once in a while, and he made me feel desirable. I could look and smell like a pile of shit, and Wade would still cover me with kisses. The last time I approached my husband, smelling like a rose and wearing my sexiest lingerie, he rolled his eyes at me and told me to go put on some clothes before I caught a cold. Was it good for you? Wade asked, once again squeezing my friends so hard that I pushed him away. It was good for me, I told him. Though my mouth said one thing, my mind said another. Like as if the brother, like if it bothers me now when people mention my age and I'm only 31, or what is it going to be like when I'm 51? Will I still have enough of ransom money left over to get a facelift in? I needed to keep my mind on the current situation. I couldn't afford to let myself get too distracted. Why do you still have that worried look on your face, girl? Didn't I tell you that I got everything covered? Wade asked, looking worried himself. Have you ever done something like this before? I replied, trying to at least look like my mind was focusing on the right things. Wade gave me a puzzled look before he responded. Kidnap somebody? For a moment, he looked like he wanted to laugh. Hell no, I ain't never kidnapped nobody. Then how do you know you got everything under control? Look, this was your idea, he snapped, with one hand up in the air. He wanted to slap in my face. He screwed his face into a frown and patted his stomach, and then let out a stream of belches, which rolled out of his mouth like thunder. I shouldn't have ate them day old sardines and oysters this morning. He belched again, shaking his hand and patting his stomach once more. I wasn't that crazy about doing that shit with you in the first place. Kidnapping is a serious crime. Now, if you was going back out, then you should have done that before I called up your own man and got this ball rolling. But it still ain't too late. You can go on back home and pick up wherever you left off, but you better come up with one hell of a story to tell your old man about how you got loose. And no matter what you tell him, it better not include my name, he warned, shaking a fist in my face. I'm not going to go back out now, Wayne. I know it's too late, and I need that money. I need to get up out the city. I whimpered in a voice that was crackling with each word. I love Berkeley, and I thought I'd spend the rest of my life here. But I know I can't do that now. Jesse Ray is crazy if he thinks I'm going to spend the rest of my life cooking and cleaning and taking care of his family and putting up with their bullshit by myself and in my own house at that. I am tired of trying to talk some sense into that man's hard head. Now, all I want is to get as far away from him and my crazy in-laws as possible. I snare. I was surprised at how strong and determined my voice sounded when I got angry. Then quit worrying. You making me nervous. Wade insisted, giving me